welcome to part 3 of my book review series on White Moon and the Mountain Peak. This is the final part of the installment, and I highly encourage you to check out parts 1 and 2 if you have not already, as it'll set a bit of a context and give you some ideas for what we're going to talk about in this particular installment, which is 5 specific things which I went through the book and think are really unique and really set the book apart from other books. I mean, honestly, I could find probably 50 reasons, but for the sake of brevity and being concise, just want to share with you 5 things like fairly quickly, just to give you some specifics and show you actual illustrations from the book, just so you can kind of get a look and feel for the book. So the first thing is this little guy here, which is 4 white blobby weird image things. So what this is talking about the white mist, which appears at certain stages of alchemical practice. And to most people, I think to most human beings, if you told them about, oh, a human being can have a visible white mist around them or white light or all of these things, most people would say that's not real. I mean, I heard about it in some crazy ancient spiritual thing or some crazy movie, but that's not real life. No, that doesn't happen. Well, I don't know, maybe not. I'm not there, so I can't personally say. All I can say is it's in the book, and it talks about specifically what it is, what it means, when it happens, how to work with it, things like that. So I think that is pretty cool and unique. And the second thing, which I think is cool and unique, is chapter 7, which is women-specific Neidan. And you'll also see gender-based Jing Movement. And what is cool about this is that it breaks down the fact that there is actually differences between the way men and women function energetically. And this is not really that easy to find out about in most Taoist books or alchemy books or meditation books, because it's maybe people don't know or they don't want to say it or whatever. But it's just the fact that Chinese medicine and a lot of other disciplines have a pretty obvious male bias. So for that reason, this chapter in the book is pretty cool and pretty unique. So the next, number 3, is, let me find it, talking about, it's chapter 9, talking about the 9 alchemical agents, which I don't know if he coincidentally did chapter 9 talking about the 9 agents, but it's kind of funny. Or the 9 cauldrons, I'm sorry. But what's cool about this is it talks about basically various aspects of our awareness and where it can be tuned in, referencing the 3 treasures. And what I think is really cool and helpful is this particular chart on the 10 heavenly stems, which shows how things start from Wu Ji to Yuan Shen to the 5 elements, and then how that breaks down to various parts of yin and yang, which is really helpful if you're studying medicine or philosophy or internal arts, just because oftentimes the way the elements are presented is very piecemealed, and people actually believe that the fire element is actually fire, or like the wood element is actually wood, because that's what we were told about the Western, more Greek-Roman elements, that they're more substances in the physical world, or like states of matter. And the Chinese 5 elements aren't even like that. And actually the word element is a terrible translation of the actual character and what it means and what it's trying to talk about, but that's a different conversation. But it is why I think it's a helpful thing to get into and start exploring. And there are other books that specifically go into detail about that, and actually this book, Heavenly Streams, goes into a lot of detail about the stems and branches, but it's helpful in this book, the way it was laid out, and I think it's cool. The next is this talking about the various stages or levels of attainment within Taoism, and it talks about the vulgar people, which is obviously not politically correct term, but that's what they say. The natural people, the sages, the Jinren, and then the immortals. And then within the immortals, there's so many different categories and specifics and different levels and stages and whatever. And I think that's important and cool because the way we understand spirituality and mysticism in the West, I think, is pretty archaic, or not archaic, it's pretty limited and small. We tend to think in really either or, black or white things, and we tend to follow and line up behind pretty much anyone that shows up with any degree of wisdom or attainment or whatever. And it's a really common thing in the modern world as this stuff is becoming more popular, because it's not our culture, we didn't grow up in it, so we're not trained to be able to spot real from false or phony or charlatans or all these things. So that's one part why I think this chart is cool. The other reason is that it just basically breaks it down and shows us that there's really a wide spectrum of experience that we can have. Because it's really easy when you practice anything or just live your life as a human to just get attached to things and really just think you're great when in actuality it's really not a big deal. I have $1 million, yeah, I'm amazing, or I have a huge whatever and I'm amazing, or I have a Ferrari so I'm the best, or I can meditate for an hour so I'm, this is ridiculous, the stuff our mind will do, and it's not necessarily conscious, but it starts to seep in after a while to everyone pretty much, I think, which leads us to number 5, which is the chapter or a little treatise on reverse transmission and the state of humility. And this is referencing how throughout the Tao Te Ching and Taoist texts in general, it's always talking about emptiness and talking about humility. And the functional aspect of this is important because it's too easy to think this is just a purely religious thing that we should just do because it's good for us or because it sounds cool or because someone said it. Whereas it's more important, and I think personally more effective, to understand the actual reasoning. Why would you do that? How is it beneficial? How is it effective? How hard is it? Because it's probably going to be difficult. And all these things about it, rather than just saying, the man of Tao does this, so okay, well I want to be a man of Tao, so I should do that too, okay. It's finding the balance between our intellect and our theory and our actual practice, and letting those two feed and nourish one another. So I think that's really cool. And the other reason is it starts, that section describes the dynamic between a teacher and a student. Because just because a teacher knows something or is good at something and a student is willing to learn, doesn't guarantee that it's actually gonna work. There's a lot of variables that have to be looked at, and the major things is the teacher open and is the student open? Are they both humble? Or is the teacher saying, oh, I'm a master, I'm the teacher, I've been doing this for way longer than you, I know better, I know everything, and is the student, are they thinking that, oh, I've been studying this stuff for 10 years, I've got it pretty much dialed in, or are they just saying, oh, I don't know, teach me everything, I'm just this lowly student. These weird extremes that teachers and students can fall into, failing to understand greater dynamics and processes that are at play, cosmically, energetically, karmically, whatever. So anyways, I like that chapter, that section for those reasons. So anyways, thanks for watching this video, and hopefully you watched all 3, because I made references to all of these books by Damo. So big thanks to Damo for writing the books, and big thanks to people of ancient times for actually discovering the information and being willing to pass it down. And thanks to Singing Dragon for actually publishing it. Because I can imagine 20, 30 years ago, books like this probably wouldn't exist. But now we live in great times, so as far as accessing information. So either way, thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel, like the video, post a comment, and I'll talk to you soon.